Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are and watching this. So I want to explain to you exactly what we have today on the Ernie Meyer Talk Show. It's been a while since I've done interviews, but of course we have a lot coming our way. And today we have JB Brandon, who is a personal friend of mine, a coach, a mentor, a trainer, and a speaker, and a world-class individual who can really help you with your business and getting your message out there. And I'm telling you, without JB, I wouldn't be as where I am today, no matter where that's at. But I do have multiple streams of income, and so does JB. But I'm going to let him tell you about that. And he brought me almost to tears with his story. And I don't know if he'll share that today, but to listen to this guy is really heartwarming. And I would like to talk about what we're going to be doing today. We're sponsored by the eFit Mini Gym, of course, that we talked about. And if you buy today, down below is a link to it and my $20 off. You put Ernie 20 in the code and you will also have that as well, so that you have $20 off any one of the 3 packages that are listed in the main section of that. So JB, how are you today? Talk to me, man.
Man, I'm excellent, Ernie. I'm doing real good. I appreciate you taking the time to invite me on. It's always a pleasure when I get a chance to connect with you and chat, man. So I'm doing real good today.
It's an honor, it's a privilege to have you on our show, especially with what you've accomplished and what you will be doing as well. I met JB in Achieve, and that is an organization that helps a lot of people in health industry related areas and support groups that will help you as well. So, you know, if you have an interest in that, you have my email down below. But this is the type of caliber of people that I have actually met in Achieve. And I am thankful for that. It is well worth it to be in Achieve as well. So Brandon, tell me a little bit about, tell the audience a little bit about what you do, your special branding, and how you create words that help people.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I do a few things, but a few things that I actually focus on, and one of those things is I'm a speaker, as you mentioned. I've been speaking for over 20 years, Ernie, and I love that, and I love what it does for audiences around the country. So I'm a speaker. I'm also a certified coach. And specifically, what you're alluding to is I work with two types of markets. One of them is entrepreneurs who want to use speaking as a marketing tool to grow their business. So I work with them, and you're very familiar with the process there. And I also work with I do what I call because when you get into coaching, you can be broad or you can be specific. And of course, like a lot of coaches, when I first started and got certified as a coach, then I was broad. But I heard somebody say one time, you probably heard this as well, Ernie, that your niche will find you, right? And so just based on your experiences and the roads you've traveled and all that different things, your niche will find you. Well, my niche did find me. So I do the speaker coaching with the entrepreneurs, as I just mentioned. And then another thing that I do is leadership coaching. And I high performance, I call it high performance success coaching for leaders. I just have a heart for leaders, people who lead other people. They need that support, and they need to have someone that they can rely on to keep them sharp and to help them get better and to grow at what they do. And so those are the two really the main people that I work with. But that's not to say that I don't work with other individuals, because I do. I have other clients who they really need some coaching. They want to create success in their life, and they're not necessarily leaders, but what they're looking for, I can provide for them. And a lot of times it's just a breakthrough of some kind, maybe it's a breakthrough of getting past some fears, limiting beliefs, or self-sabotage, which you heard me talk about at the conference, which is one of the big things that I work with people on, is how to uncover those fears and those limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck. And and not only just identify them, but now what do you do with them now that you know how they're performing and sabotaging your success? And so I specifically coach on those types of things as well.
This is beautiful. And audience, if you've seen my table talks, my daily business table talks that I do talk a lot about fear and limited beliefs. But where did I get that information from? And who's the person who can actually get you to the next step but JB Brandon? And he actually knows how to tie all that together. And he's helped me quite a bit. And, you know, in fact, when I get on his weekly calls on Fridays, he says, well, write down your fears. And I think to myself, what fears? You know, I've eliminated them. I just go after it. And JB will tell you, you know, with a year ago, when I had my medical episode and different things like that, he was telling me, slow down, slow down. I was saying, no. You guys got to catch up to me. But actually, he was telling me to slow down, take care of myself. And that's the type of person that this person is. And I really enjoy working with him. And I hope that you will as well. Now, I'm a coach who can get you from, and think of it as sports in the school arena. I can get you in high school and college. JB can talk to you about your professional coaching. So he is one step ahead of that. So think of it as a football coach. In high school, that football coach may or may not be good enough to be a college level coach. And a college level coach may or may not be good enough to be a professional coach. Well, I can do the basics of high school and the college. JB can do the pro. Now, I'm telling you, if you are ready for a pro, JB's your guy. If you're not ready for that, if you still have limited beliefs that need to be conquered, things like that, I can help you with that. But JB can take you even higher than that. So embrace what's going on. JB, tell me about different obstacles in your life and how you've overcome them and how you plow through, because that's the message that we want to tell our people.
Well, I appreciate that, Ernie. And, you know, the thing is, we all have obstacles. No matter what we do in life, no matter where we come from, there's going to be some obstacles, there's going to be some roadblocks, and we all have them. And it really comes down to the perspective of how you look at those things. And so I've had some obstacles. You know, one of them was, and you probably heard me talk about this, and I talk about this sometimes in some of my presentations. You know, I grew up without a father in my life, right?
Yes.
And so, and that's considered an obstacle simply because there's an avenue of learning that you don't get when you grow up without a male figure in your life, right? And for some people, they would use that as an excuse not to be able to do this, not to be able to do that, you know, that sort of thing. And but I didn't use it as an excuse. You know, my mom, who was my she was my champion in life. She taught me that focus on what you want to do and put everything into doing that, you know, and just give it 110%. And she developed what's so important is a strong support system, right? And so we got to have that as well. So part of that was having a strong support system, but another part was just understanding and being taught that no matter what happened in the past, no matter what happened as far as things you can't control, the one thing you can control is your choices. Okay. The one thing you can control is how you're going to handle any of the obstacles. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really control, you know, anything about my decision, with my father's decisions not to be in my life, anything like that. I can't control that, right?
Right.
And for years, I carried around anger around that. And then I realized after I met a mentor of mine, he told me, hey, look, you got to focus on what you can control. There's things we can't control, things we can't. But when we focus on those things that we can control, okay, it gives us the power to make the decisions necessary to create the success in our life. And so no matter the obstacle, always kind of let's step back and say, okay, what about this can I control? Right.
That's
And
right.
then I start to kind of look at it from that perspective and then kind of outline what I can do in this particular situation. And that's what I try to encourage everybody else to do, especially my clients that I work with, is let's look at what you can control. Okay. And what is fact now as opposed to fiction, and that's the same way with fears or limiting beliefs that we deal with. A lot of them are ingrained in our environment that we grew up in, right? And I'll give you, for instance, some of us grew up in a household where, um, we were taught that money is evil, or rich people are evil, and so we have this ingrained belief of, not to that we shouldn't want money, or we shouldn't want to be rich or wealthy. And for some of us, and for a lot of people, it keeps them stuck in their business because they have these limiting beliefs around money that don't necessarily show up to where they can see how it's affecting them. And so, but when you start to think about where these limiting beliefs come from and you identify them, then you start to make a connection to, wow, this is affecting me in this area, in this area, in this area. And so, as I said, man, we've all had obstacles, Ernie. I mean, you mentioned, you alluded to it earlier, and which is what I love about you and your tenacity. I mean, your medical situation you went through last year, it definitely slowed you down, and it could have taken you away from us, and it didn't. And I've told you this before. I'm so thankful you're still here, and you didn't allow that huge obstacle and roadblock keep you from moving forward. Now, did you have to be slowed down a little bit to take care of yourself so that you can get back at 100% and do what you're doing now? Absolutely. But you didn't allow that. You didn't use that as an excuse to say, okay, well, I guess I'm done, right? But how many people do we know, Ernie, they do that? They use those as excuses. And we all know what excuses are. There's stepping stones to failure, okay?
Exactly. Yep.
And it's a way to keep us stuck.
Mm-hmm. You allude to a lot of different things, and it takes me back to when I was back in grade school, and in fourth grade, when I was doing straight A's, and math was my subject of choice. And I wound up in April of that year with about 10 weeks left of school. I wound up in a hospital, and they thought I had leukemia. They took marrow from the bone of my hip and marrow from the bone of my spine. And I'm telling you, I still remember that to this day because that hurt. And I have a special spot in my heart. But the first time said that I had leukemia, and then one of my spines said I didn't. So either way, I'm still here,
Absolutely.
But I still use that today because in the fifth grade, I was promoted to fifth, sixth, and seventh grade, and I fell behind. I fell behind so bad. And I've said this before to my audience, and I'll say it again. Excuse me for saying this, but this is what I was labeled as. A retard, because I was put in the so-called retard class in the seventh grade, and I knew I didn't belong there. You see some big guy sitting there sucking on his thumb and another one crying in the background. And I looked around and I said, I don't belong here. I don't belong here. So I worked and worked and worked to get out of that class. And imagine having a red eye and being labeled a retard, getting a girlfriend. Forget it. By the time I hit 10th grade, I was an accomplished rock drummer. I had my own band, and I was popular. So I crawled out of that, and I became that. But I also fell into the wrong crowd, and I was in juvenile court a couple of times and what have you. And I will later on, as I promised everybody in my daily table talks, I will bring about and surface a few people that have actually had hardened criminals in their hardened criminal life and actually made something of themselves. So what JB is saying is true. It doesn't matter where you came from, what you've done. What starts is today. Do you want to have the training to have a better life? Talk to us. JB, what would you like to say to the audience before we wrap this up?
Oh, well, thanks, Ernie. I appreciate that. For those of you who are listening out there, I just want to say this. It comes down to you, simple sentence. Take control of your life and ask yourself, how can I take control of my life? You know, and just be humble, be sincere, and be honest. The best thing we can do, Ernie, is just two things: be honest with ourselves and love ourselves. Okay. And so I want to encourage the audience to do that. Be honest with yourself and also love yourself. Okay. Because when you love yourself, then you're free to love others and you're free to allow them to love you. And so I always share that message with, and don't stay stuck. If you're stuck, it's because you're choosing to stay there. You don't have to be that way. And for some of us, we don't know what we don't know. Well, I'm telling you something that you may not feel right now, because maybe you're in the thick of something that's heavy and it's a big struggle. You don't have to be there. And there's resources out there, whether it be myself, whether it be Ernie, that can help you walk through it. And that's what it's all about. It's not a sign of weakness to reach for help, to ask for somebody, hey, I need you to help me with this. As a matter of fact, it's a sign of intelligence and it's a sign of power to be able to do that, because that's why we're all put on this earth together, to help each other. Okay. Not for us to walk through things by ourselves. So don't allow that limiting belief to keep you stuck thinking, well, I had to do this by myself. You don't have to. And a lot of us men feel that way, women too, but mostly men feel that way. And it's well, you're weak if you ask for help. Another limiting belief. They're everywhere. When you start to look at them, Ernie, oh my goodness, they're everywhere, and then you can start to see how they're keeping you stuck. And so to the audience, I would just say, hey, take control of your life and love yourself and do the necessary steps to create the success you want. And your success is defined by you. It's not defined by anybody else.
That's correct. JB, when you talk about that, you also bring up visions in my mind about people who ask for help, but they really haven't said anything in the public's eyes. And let's take Henry Ford, who had a 6th grade education. Some say he had an 8th grade education, whatever he had. He had a vision for a V8. I could have had a V8. He's not talking about the drink. He's talking about the engine. And all his engineers, who were graduates, said, can't be done. He says, oh yeah, it can be done. You'll do it. And history speaks for itself. What has happened? We have the V8 engine out there today, all because Henry Ford enlisted the help of others who knew how to do it, didn't know they had to do it. And you think Elon Musk is a rocket scientist? Nah, he brings in all kinds of people to help him out, who know how to make things happen. These people they're not afraid to ask for help. So I want to put you on the spot here a little bit, JB. If people want to get a hold of you, are we allowed to have a way down below to tell people in this video or down below in the comments how to get a hold of you if they want to work with you, if they want to find out more?
Absolutely. You can reach me directly at my email address, which is jbspeaks24k@gmail.com. Okay, so that's jbspeaks24k@gmail.com. You can reach me, email me directly. You can also shoot me a text or give me a call at 256-457-0793. And I have, we can set up a call. I have a link that I can send out for people who want to chat and have what we call a strategy session. Because a lot of times you're going through things, but you don't know what your next step should be. And for everyone, our next step is different. And I love to help people figure that out. And so I'm available to do so.
That's beautiful. And for anybody who wants to be on the show, and if you've accomplished some roadblocks and were able to come away with a better life, I would love to interview you. And it's more about, I've got rock stars on here. I've got ex-TV people. I have coaches. I have everyday people that I interview on here. You want your 15 minutes of fame? Give me a shout. I'll have that down below as well in the comments. So you can have a free interview with me, and that's worth thousands, because I will exploit you and I will put this population out there. So I will only ask that you like, ask a question, share, subscribe. Believe me, subscribing means you will be in touch with everything I put out. You may not agree with everything I put out. You may not like everything I put out there, but I will put out free content for you to at least absorb and give you something to think about. And if I stutter a little bit, it's because of my medical condition. For those of you who may not have seen before, I did have a brain aneurysm and a stroke a year ago. Look at me today. Look at this. And what did JB do when I had that? He let everybody know, and he kept me in his thoughts, in his prayers. And that's the type of person that you want to have in your life. So believe me, you can make a living or you can design your life. Be that person. Make a living or design your life. Bye-bye for now.